following the notes. So,
I'm really not following the notes. Not
oh,
following the notes at all, as
well,
usual.
I know. I remember when we first started doing Bossier watches, you would always like, oh, well, hang on a minute. Let me open the notes. I'm like, what the heck did I go and make notes for if you ain't even going to read the damn notes?
Shame on me. I was the kid that did my homework like before class was over and all that sort of thing. Although I may have to refer to my notes tonight because we are literally doing this show off the cuff. I mean, we'll see if anybody shows up because it is Thursday night.
It is
Oh,
Thursday night, and someone pointed out that we are rudely interrupting the opening of the NFL.
oh well. Good thing I don't watch professional football.
Well, me too. I mean,
I mean,
look,
every now and then I'll watch some of the Saints games. I'll put it that way.
I quit watching pro football, and I can tell you vividly. It was about 1988, Washington Redskins and the Raiders. Joe Theismann was the quarterback, and you'll remember the game. He broke his femur. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, the thing is, they the Redskins were the best football team in the country. There's no freaking way the Raiders, even with him ultimately getting his femur broke, there's no way they could beat them. And they blew them out. It was
Right.
ridiculous. I
Yeah.
knew then it was fake, and I
Yeah.
quit watching.
Well, maybe not quite as fake as wrestling back in the day, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll not that I don't like football. I like football and all that. I just, I watch fishing stuff and tech stuff. I don't watch that much football. I watch LSU games sometimes and watch the Saints games sometimes.
Yeah, watch them lose Sunday night or whatever night that was. LSU, good grief. Woof.
Yeah, well, we're not doing too bad. We've got 40 something people in Facebook alone already, something like that. Or anyway, it's tending to grow, so that's pretty good. Must be some people interested in what we're going to talk about tonight.
Well, we didn't actually prompt everyone that there was anything, hot and juicy going to be coming out of this show. But, the last time we technically did a special show, a special edition show, was there was an FBI raid at Bossier City Hall.
Really?
Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, wasn't there was there a FBI helicopter or something?
Well, I don't know about the helicopter, but I know that we broke the story. I mean, like the internet blew up or something. But so anyway, we didn't really telegraph it as much on this, but I think it rises to that level what we're fixing to show folks.
Yeah, it does. It's going to be interesting. And our good friend Wes Marriott just asked if he could order a poster of the cover image. The answer is yes, Wes, for the low, low price of free. Now, full disclosure, I didn't, let's say, what would it be called in copyright parlance, a derivative image or something like that. Anyway, I didn't draw the original image. As a matter of fact, I was just Googling for images of quasi-corrupt city councilmen, and lo and behold, that just popped up. Already done for me.
My wife said, "Well, that's kind of offensive. You've got their heads on dogs." And I said, "Well, no." I said that is an age-old image that has been used. In fact, I remember seeing it one time that had countless presidents' heads
Right.
put on all of those bodies. But the image of the show, uh, you know, people talk about that a lot of politics happen in these smoky rooms,
Mm-hmm.
closed private rooms, a lot of the decisions, a lot of the business and things like that. Well, somebody told me one time in politics was a highly elected official, and they were in Bossier, and they told me, they said, Duke, they said, I wish it wasn't true, but the truth is, it is true. That is how things are done. It is reality. It's the way it is. The decisions are made in this smoky room. And that's
Yeah.
what that image depicts.
Well, it does. And look, we've talked about it. I mean, it's literally one of the reasons that we started the show and started getting on our soapboxes on Tuesday nights was to kind of pull the curtain back, so to speak. And look, I got to give credit to people sending stuff in by Proton Mail. We got an anonymous email through Proton Mail, have no idea who sent it. And lo and behold, Well, it's pretty interesting. We're going to show y'all here in a few minutes. All right. I got to mention something because we forgot to mention it Tuesday night. The district rep race debate on September the 21st, if I can speak. What happened there?
Well, I got a message from Dodie Horton that she apparently sits on a committee, and she said it in her message which committee it was, but it really didn't matter to me what committee that it was, but that she was called to a committee meeting in Baton Rouge on the evening that we had already, both candidates had agreed to this evening. She told me, says, look, I've been called to this committee meeting. I think it had something to do with taxes. She said, I have to be present. Can't miss this meeting. I'm going to have to cancel on being present at the debate. So, you and I haven't talked about it. We're live right now. We've got, 70 to 80 people watching. We can attempt to try to put it together again for another night, but I got to tell you, we're getting, the days are getting short. It's getting long here. I don't know. I'm of the opinion that, hey, if Chris Turner just wants to come on that night and do an interview, I mean, he can come on and we can do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you at all with that. If he wants to go ahead and come on, then hey, well, the floor will be his because his opponent is not able to make it. And yeah, I agree. If Dodie wants to reschedule at a later date, then it's absolutely, we're both, of course, open to doing that. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to do the countdown and our little ad deal, help pay the bills and all that. So we'll be back in about 3.5 to 4 minutes. Y'all share it out. We've got some other interesting news that I'll kind of share, and then we're going to get right into the good stuff. It's not going to be a very long show tonight, folks, so y'all tag everybody, let them know we will be back in about 3.5 to 4 minutes, and we're going to get into some pretty good stuff. How about that, Mr. Lowry?
Let's do it. Let's get going.
All right, here we go.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Ole Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition some money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Croon's legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way. It was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't going to do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, we're going to the border. It's actually going to Mexico and buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally that's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause, and it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking action. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Earl Coleman and associated groups not, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button? Does that mean that people are like seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, you know, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Transact Card. Unleash the power of your spending with Z-Bucks. Contact Renee Hall. Smarter Geek. Making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we're back.
You know, every time I see that intro, I start giggling just a little bit. And part of my giggling, I'm like, and I said to you when we were in the break, I said, I ought to write a book. I ought to write a book about my life experiences up to this point, but I don't know that anybody would believe it. And
well, yeah.
And I think they would think it was fiction. And then, then I had another thought. I said, you know what? We're doing these shows and we're talking about things that are going on within our community, society, and things that, we're dealing with, and 100 years from now, after all of us, everybody, all of y'all out here watching this show, me and Rex and all of y'all watching the show, 100 years from now, after we're dead and gone, this digital content is going to be out there somewhere. And when people 100 years from now come back and watch this, or if they do, and they look at what we were talking about and what we were doing, what are they going to think of us? Are they going
They're going to go, what were those guys thinking?
All right, well, no, as a society, what are they going to say? Are they going to say, those people were batshit crazy. They lost their minds.
Well, I was trying to be nice to us, but yeah, that's probably what they would say. Well, look, I'm going to tease out a little bit of information here while I kind of semi-answer your question. So I went to go shoot some video today. I'm not going to disclose who, what, when, or where yet. And I met these two people that I have never met before in my life. At least, not that I can remember. And so I'm shooting this video and they're giving their testimony. And they went straight into some topics. I mean, it was straight up Good Ole Boy stuff. Exactly what we've been talking about since, we started this back in 2020. And it was like I was sitting there watching or listening to an episode of Us. And they were sharing this information. And they didn't share it because I was videoing it for Bossier Watch. They didn't. And I asked them when they were done, I said, because look, it's about the Bossier Parish Police Jury. They straight up call out Butch Ford and Juliana Parks, and I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, and so I said, look, do you mind if I share this? And she goes, oh yeah. She said, we watched the show before, and absolutely you have our permission. So anyway, that's a pretty good tease.
Wow, that is a good tease. I look forward to that.
Yeah. Should be interesting and fun all at the same time.
But there you go. That just goes to show you there's a ton of stories out there. There's a ton of things that happen. A lot of people don't talk about it. They don't put it out there. And, you end up finding that if that's not shared and it doesn't become knowledge that it happened to someone, it ends up happening to somebody else. Then it ends up happening to somebody else, multiple people, and they all don't know that the same thing is happening to them.
You're right. You're right.
But if everybody shared notes and put it all together, guess what? You could change things.
Yeah, and look, I got to give full credit and props to Shane and Keith Sutton doing the Two Guys in the Sidewalk podcast, and sharing some information. Wes Marriott's doing some stuff with Sobo Live, so this local stuff about Bossier and talking about this kind of stuff is starting to gain some momentum. So, I want to give a quick shout out to them. So I also want to share two more things. One,
but Rex, let me stop you. Remember you're one, but let me stop you. There's some people who believe wholeheartedly that the efforts of you and I, of Sobo Live, of the Sidewalk guys, Cheatham, and they think that that has a negative negative path, that it'll send us to a direction. And I don't understand what they're trying to say, but they believe it's going to send us down a certain particular path, guaranteed.
Well, look, I might actually agree with them, because here's the problem. We didn't start the path. It's not like we went out there and made the stupid city council morons do all this stupid crap that gives us plenty to talk about every week. It's not like we made Robert Berry, and all those shenanigans go on with the Cypress District and the law firms and the police jury, and, the police jury kicking little old ladies out and letting Butch Ford be administrator in clear violation of the law. It's not like we did all those things. We're just showing what those morons are doing.
We're just talking about it.
Yeah. So, anyway, all right. So a couple of more things real quick and we'll get right into it. So I want to say that the Jack Harville interview has garnered I don't know, I would argue maybe as many comments, not quite, but as many comments as our first Bossier stuff. I mean, they're still sharing this. They're still commenting on it.
Well, look, I was getting phone calls today about it, literally. Yeah. And that wasn't even on our radar. That just happened. He was in the comments commenting and came in on the show, and people are still feeding off of that, today. Look, I don't know.
We titled the show Boisterous, and literally all this other stuff happened. So it was just like fitting. All right. So one more thing too. We've got an article coming out in the Focus SB magazine here before too much longer. I'm not sure what the publication date is.
Oh, wait a minute. You paid for an article?
No. They just did it.
Oh, that's right. That
remember they interviewed us. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So anyway, who knows? We kind of did the history of it, so who knows what they'll say about us. Maybe John Settle and his publication will be at least partially nice to us. So we'll see.
Now, the rumor has it that we might be on the cover. So if you go to your favorite Mexican restaurant and you're one of those people like me who gets that magazine and sits down before you get your food and starts eating, just be sure to not spill the hot sauce on us, okay?
Exactly correct. Okay. All right. So that leads us to the reason that we are here tonight. I don't even know where to begin with this. I mean, I guess... we mentioned before we went to the break that proton mail is such a wonderful thing. And we have people, it hadn't been too busy on the proton mail front lately, but we do have people that share information, and sometimes it's stuff we look into and might talk about on the show. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes people are just venting with, through that. But it is a wonderful thing. And lo and behold, we got some audio files.
Some pretty good audio files. And, look, we are, I don't know, we're kind of hard on government bodies, and primarily, because we think, I'm speaking for myself, but I think you agree with me that in whole, I think government in general, both local as well as certainly nationally, and at the state level, I think government disregards the public. I think they have forgotten that, they serve at the pleasure of the public. And, I think they've forgotten it because I don't think we, the public, remind them enough. And we have said things on the show like, we've said this is going to be about the Bossier City Council. We've said lawless. We've used that terminology. We've said they don't care about what the citizens of Bossier think. We've said that they would prefer if the public, would just go away and let them do as they wish without, having to hear their opinion or even or have their input. We said all those things. And
yeah. And, we have heard, rumor has it, that in certain political circles, certain politicians, I'm sure actually probably quite a few of them, like to make fun of us, and maybe some of them are a little frustrated with us. I don't know what the case is. But again, if the morons that represent us wouldn't give us fuel for the fire, there wouldn't be any fire. We literally would run out of stuff to talk about. But it's like the gift that keeps on giving. We have an unlimited supply of stuff to talk about, apparently. Our local politicians, the majority of them, just don't seem to get it yet.
We have spent an extraordinary amount of time on Bossier City. And I told somebody just last night, and I'm sure they're watching, I told them just last night, I said, I would love nothing more than to not be talking about Bossier City. I would love to be focusing on the police jury. I would love to.
Right.
But as you say, the morons led by the king of morons in Bossier City, they just don't want to give up. They want to hang on to the title of King Moron in Court. They don't want to relinquish it.
Well, and I want to let everybody know we've not forgot about the police jury. They're going to be on our radar soon enough. But with that said, okay, so we get these emails, we get these audio files. You and I both listen to them, and they're not very long. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. What they say, it's not long, and it's not actually a lot, but what is said in these audio files is nothing short of revealing. At worst, revealing is the word for it, or at best. And at worst, I mean, they're admitting to possibly breaking the law as far as open meetings go.
Yeah, and Rex, I mean, I'm sitting back and I'm wondering about. I'm thinking back simple stuff. I'm thinking back basic stuff. When we were in school and Constitution, on Keel, Louis Avallone and Stephen Parr, they did really good the other day, and he broke it down on the basic tenets of the Constitution and the rights guaranteed in the Constitution. And I put a link in the comments, the Justia link in there, if you could pull up and prompt up. And I just want to start basically as we go into this, and I just want to take this moment and refresh people. Let's go to the very first part, and we're not even going to go to the U.S. Constitution. We're going to go to the state Constitution, and the very first part of the state Constitution, origin and purpose of government. This isn't hard. This is Government 101. This is the basics. This should be, if you're in government, period. I don't care if you're the freaking janitor at Bossier City Hall, or if you're the elevator operator, or you're the Tahoe chauffeur for Tommy. I don't care what it is. This is your number one right here. Section 1, origin and purpose of government. All government of right originates with the people and is founded on their will alone.
Pretty straightforward.
Of the people on their will alone. Now I'm thinking that somewhere along the line, and it isn't just Bossier City, but it's the police jury, it's the school board, it's our federal government, it's our state government. Government all across the board has forgotten, that tenet of government.
Right.
They've lost focus that it's ours. It's because of us.
Yeah, well, and Ryan Haygood, our good friend, says it pretty succinctly. Laws are for peasants. Let's see. I don't even know where to start with that because you're absolutely correct. They have no doubt forgotten that they're there to serve us. As a matter of fact, and we're teasing it, but we're about to get to it. As you're going to see in some of these comments and hear and read the little bit of transcription that I did, they just, that first statement that you read originates with the people, is founded on their will alone, apparently just bounces right off the city council.
Yeah, for some reason, they are the beginning, the alpha and omega. They're the beginning of the end. And I'm scratching my head how these people that don't understand or subscribe to what I understand to be uh, the founding of our country, the what we're supposed to stand for and how we stand for, how in fact they can be leading Bossier City, how in fact they can be governing us when they don't respect this tenant, when they don't hold it true. Um, I, I'm at a loss for words. I really don't get it.
Well, and there was proof enough that everybody saw. We covered it Tuesday, and of course the YouTube video is still up from the city council meeting, in the way that they treated Wes Marriott. And Wes is very eloquent. Look, he gets the knife out, and he's got his knife sharpened when he goes up there to speak, and he didn't let them rattle him. But that's a prime example.
But you know what? Is it right for him to go up there, and the colonel, is it right for them to go up there and say an opinion that is in opposition to what somebody on the council believes? Is that
sure?
Do they have that right, Rex? Because
they're supposed to, but not according to our morons in city government.
No, they apparently these morons in Bossier City don't believe that anyone should have a different opinion. And they also believe, and if anybody watching us in the the show, I see a ton of folks comment and a ton of folks in the comments. Appreciate all of y'all being here. I'm not sure some of y'all are smarter than us here. Look, we're just Rhodes Scholars of Stupidville, but I don't know what form of government it is where the government is the answer to everything and they decide everything. They tell you what to think, all of that or whatever. But obviously that is the form of government we have in Bossier City. But if the public can't express opposition, or if for some reason our form of government has changed to where it's unacceptable for elected officials, and it's not expected for elected officials to call out other elected officials that sit on the same body with them for contradictory issues. For example, let's say, for instance, what if, and I'm just throwing a name out there, Chris Smith or Brian Hammonds, obviously, because they're the opposition. What if they were the ones to have questioned Queen David on his affiliation with Katie Bell? And they cited the point that we showed on the document Tuesday night, that if she represented the MPC, why is she objecting to a question of David Montgomery about his insurance company? Of what relevance is his insurance company to the MPC of Bossier? If she's not defending his insurance company, why is she speaking up?
Right.
That's a valid complaint. But if a councilman had brought that up, but apparently our government has gotten to the point to where elected officials are not supposed to be criticizing each other. Elected officials are not supposed to have debate publicly. It's not supposed to be out here in front of all you and I and for everybody to consume. And Lord forbid if one of y'all that live in Bossier City get up and utter, some belief that is contradictory to someone that's elected that's on the board.
Well,
remember?
Look, you look at the way Montgomery treated Hammonds right there. And look, we kind of joked about it Tuesday night. Brian Hammonds is no little boy. And David just, yelled and tried to shout him down right there. So, I would argue even if the other councilman, we've seen him do it to Smith, whenever they tried to do it, we've seen him do it to Tommy. And nobody seems to be able to back him down other than, of course, I'm, giving credit to Wes. And I'm hung up on the word morons tonight. It's honestly one of my favorite words, unfortunately, to use, but there's no better way for me to describe what's going on with the majority on the city council.
Morons is a great word, but I don't know, blissfully ignorant, because
Right.
I don't know that they even see how moronic they are. I don't know.
I don't think they care.
Do you really think? Yeah, and if they don't care, that makes it something different. But if they can't see it at all, that makes it something different. Lee Arthur Jeter, great comment, Lee. I mean,
Yeah.
Lee is always on point.
Yeah, I'll read it for those of you that are listening. The power to govern is delegated by the people, and when those elected by the people are not serving the people have the right to make a change by the legal means advocated to the people. Look, Wes made a comment earlier. I'm going to put it back up here. The minutes published today for the city council called his comments in the minutes, Phyllis recorded them as disruptive.
And their opinion, I think it was Charles Jacobs, the city attorney, talked about it's the council's opinion that the term limits petition is not, up to par. That's their opinion, and again, on Tuesday, we showed that, okay, what business is it of the city to represent the interests of somebody who has an opinion that thinks that it doesn't meet the standard? It doesn't, but it's wag the dog. It's we will use taxpayer money to fight a fight on behalf of individuals who are wanting to protect their self-interest. That's what it's about.
OPM, other people's money. All right, so I'm going to switch screens here. And like I said, I was just innocently Googling along and came across this exact image. Imagine that. And it's the classic dogs playing poker. And I want you to pay close attention there to what the poker player in the nearest chair is slipping under the table.
Well, but it's not what he's slipping under the table. It's more about what he's doing with his eyes. He's
poking at the cards.
He's looking at Charles Jacobs's cards.
Yeah,
he's cheating.
Yeah, they know what each other's doing way before all this transpires. And of course, Free's over there on the left, and he's just like, Bubba Don's glad to be at the table, and Darby's just happy to be at the table. And you got the other two dogs. I didn't really label them because they're kind of,
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is look, Free's in on it. He knows that the king and the city attorney, Charles Jacobs, that, they're working together to win the money, and they're probably going to split it at the end of the night. Free knows it. He's probably getting a cut, but he ain't going to say nothing. He's hoping that he's going to get cut in the end. But the reality is Williams and Darby, they're blissfully ignorant.
Yeah, they are.
They don't even know. They're just happy to be sitting there at the table playing with them. I'm just happy to be here. I'm getting to play cards with the boys.
Yeah. All right. So Danielle Marriott says maybe they will use this for their next election run. Let me say this, and I think I may have said this Tuesday night, so I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit. But if somebody runs against Queen David and Jeff Free and Bubba Don Williams and Darby, and they can't beat them with all the ammunition a potential candidate has now, if they can't beat the incumbents the next go round, then I don't know what to tell y'all. But, of course, term limits are not done yet. So, you know, they're going to get what's coming to them one way or the other. All right. Are we ready to actually play this video?
Yeah. So believe it or not, folks, there is a reason we summoned all of y'all to be here tonight. And no, it was not my 5 off without pay t-shirt. And some people that are watching this show, y'all will know exactly what that's about. Some of those council members sitting right there, you'll remember what that's about. But no, tonight we summoned all of y'all to be here tonight. You know, for an interesting bit of information that came across. And so I don't know that there's any other way to kind of spill this out here than to throw it out there for the world to see and let you form your opinion off of it. And then we'll give our opinion after we let them have it. What do you think, Rex?
I think we do it. So here's how this came about. Again, emphasizing Proton Mail. I took the audio. I did a quick automated transcription with it and then built a video around it. So that's how this came about. But drum roll, please. Here we go. Let's just roll it. All right, so I'm going to start off with the first one.
Phyllis, I want you to go ahead and do that change in the format. Change out the format of rules for council. We will give comments at the beginning of our agenda versus every time there's a comment. That's what they love, that they see that.
That's fine with me.
We want to change that.
Do we vote on that?
Yeah, let's change it.
So Free won't be here, so it's 4-2 enough?
Yeah, I want to change.
That's fine, because this is becoming,
it's
so disruptive, we become dysfunctional.
Yeah, it looks bad every time because it's out of control behavior and it's susceptible behavior. And these people that come in here, they feed on this stuff.
Well, I mean, and just David Crockett, he constantly goes over his time each time, and nobody.
Sure.
Well, and he says the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe
all right. So that's, and the next segment we'll play is shorter than that. So I don't even know where to start with this. I'm gonna scrub backwards.
Yeah. So go back to the beginning, because a lot of people, they may need to hear it again and consume it just a little bit. So play it one more time, and then we'll talk about it again. Play it again.
All right, here we go.
Phyllis, I want you to go ahead and do that change in the format. Change out the format of rules for council. We will give comments at the beginning of our agenda versus every time there's a comment. That's what they love, that they see that.
That's fine with me.
We want to change that.
Do we vote on that?
Yeah, let's change it.
So Free won't be here, so it's 4-2 enough?
Yeah, I want to change.
That's fine, because this is becoming,
it's
so disruptive, we become dysfunctional.
Yeah, it looks bad every time because it's out of control behavior and it's susceptible behavior. And these people that come in here, they feed on this stuff.
Well, I mean, and just David Crockett, he constantly goes over his time each time, and nobody.
Sure.
Well, and he says the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe
So all right, let's start breaking this apart. So first of all, I didn't chop up the audio edit at all. That was as it was sent to us. I just boosted the voices a little bit because there was some background noise. All right, so I didn't chop it up at all. Full disclosure, that's exactly how I received it, or exactly how our Proton Mail account received it. And then, of course, I added the auto transcription and put their pictures in there. All right, so
well, you know, first off, here's a takeaway. So what are they talking about doing? What they're talking about doing is they're talking about changing the rules of the council because of what the public can come and say, because they don't like what the public is saying. Just like earlier, you know, we pointed out that they in the minutes, it may have been you said Wes Marriott posted in the comments that they classed in the minutes, and I haven't looked at the minutes, they classed his comments or that he was being disruptive. I watched the meeting. I didn't see that he was being disruptive. In my opinion, he stated a fact. He said that Katie Bell, and this is what I'm thinking they classed as disruptive. He said that Katie Bell represented David Montgomery. Well, they said that's disruptive. And then, the city attorney said that is a lie. Well, the truth of the matter is she did represent him because she was being paid by the Metropolitan Planning Commission, and somehow or another, the insurance of David Montgomery is the business of the Metropolitan Planning Commission. So maybe my question is, why would the Metropolitan Planning Commission be paying for the defense of the insurance company of David Montgomery? Because their lawyer was defending the rights of the insurance company in that deposition.
Right.
So he pointed that out, and they said that he was out of line by pointing that out.
Well,
and it was relevant.
Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely within his within his rights to mention that. He was staying relevant to the agenda topic because, the term limits topics dominated half of the city council meeting. So I want to break this down, though, as far as what transpired right here, because I don't remember any of this conversation happening Tuesday during the official public meeting. I don't remember this, do you? I mean, we would have certainly pointed it out.
Well, I mean, especially if they had a vote count of 4-2, as Councilman Montgomery pointed out. I mean, somehow he already knew that they had a vote count of 4-2 to change the rules to silence the public from being able to speak on issues, during the debate.
Yeah.
So, but yet they want the illusion that they are representing the interests of the public. They want that illusion to continue to go on, and they want everybody to believe that. And I'm jumping ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I mean, I stopped the video frame right there where David Montgomery says, so Free won't be here, so 4-2 is enough. Let that sink in for a moment, folks. Let that sink in. Exactly what we've been saying, and not just us. Look, Shane Cheatham said it too, and a few other people. Jeff Sadow has pointed it out before. These are the meetings that happen before and after the official meetings. So when they go into those city council meetings, and look, the police jury does it too, but when they go into the city council meetings, it's just a dog and pony show. It is.
That's all it is.
That's proof right there. All right. Well, go ahead if you...
Start over from the beginning again, because I think there's so many points to be made out of this little small clip. Start over again with Jeff Darby.
Okay. You want me to play it, or we'll just go through
play
the quotes? All right, here we go. So let me back up just.
You got to understand the public. This will only be the third time the public's heard it.
Yeah, and it's short. It's a minute long. All right, here we go. We're playing it one more time.
We're feeling someone should go ahead and do that, change in the format, change the format of rules for council.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm going to stop it as we go. Who's president of the council right now?
Oh, it's Jeff Free.
Oh, I've got Darby's picture up there. That sounds like Darby's voice, so I'm pretty sure I was able to label that correctly. Am I missing something here?
Well, no. I mean, what is striking to me and jumping out here, and look, I say this, and a lot of people are probably like, they'll laugh when I say this. I like Jeff Darby. I like Bubba Williams. I do. I really do. But what is striking to me is when the only minority on the Bossier City Council is proposing to limit, a civil right of people that he espouses to represent. He's trying to limit their speech.
Right.
You've got the only minority. That's what he's talking about doing, is limiting their rights.
Well,
it blows my mind.
Let's switch screens for just a second. Let's see where I'm at the 10-second mark in that one. Okay, so I'm going to switch screens for a second. And let's go over to here. So this is one of the open meetings FAQs. I think this is the legislative auditor's version of it. And you can see right here.
I'm just wondering, you think Charles Jacobs will be able to find these AG opinions? I bet he can't find one of them.
I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, and I pulled up the wrong screen. Hold on. Let me switch back. Let's see. Hold on. Let me get back up to the 10-second mark here.
Change in the format.
All right.
Yeah.
So they're talking about changing the format to where, there we go. All right. Where they will give comments at the beginning of our agenda versus every time there's a comment. Now, the thing about the rules for open meetings is they do have to allow comments before each item. Now, the only problem is, because I've looked it up, the law is not crystal clear on if they have to do it before each agenda item, or it's just got to be done at some point before. And that's the only wiggle room that I see that they have with this. But I mean, they're going off the July 2021 rules of decorum and all that they enacted. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head right here, but they're going to have to make a motion to change that, right?
Well, obviously, he just told Phyllis to change it. He didn't say let's vote on it. He said change it. I mean, so that's obviously his opinion. He didn't even want to consider having a vote or having public comment on making a change to the public's ability to comment. And David Montgomery, he's the strategist. He's hey, we got 4-2. We're good. That's good enough. We're good. He's counting the heads already.
Good enough for him. Thomas Shea says, I honestly cannot understand why one of the news stations hasn't done an in-depth investigation into this entire situation. Oh, wait, the news media has stopped doing investigative news. Well, yeah, that's a good point. All right. So that's number one, is they're going to change the rules of the comment periods. And that opens up a whole potential can of worms. Like I said, the law, from what I've read just quickly this afternoon, is not crystal clear on that. And somebody can tell me where I'm wrong in the comments. So there's that. But the next step.
Well, who is they? Who is they?
Well, yeah.
I mean, so the Bossier City Council has started classifying anyone, they're saying they, so I'm believing that who they're talking about is anyone who disagrees with their opinions or the decisions that they make. That is they. So if you're watching the show and you disagree with anything with Bossier City, okay, you're they, just so you know.
Well, look,
know your place.
I'm just going to straight up say it. That's straight up class warfare. It is. I mean, does Darby not realize he's actually a citizen of Bossier too? Has he forgotten that? That's what they love. That's what they see here. We still have not yet had a councilman, other than it was either Smith or Hammonds, address the fact that 3,000 people signed that dadgum petition. None of them have acknowledged that. And now you've got Darby sitting here saying that's what they love, that they, see it, or whatever he actually says there. It's kind of garbled a little bit. That they see. Who is they? I mean, I'm being a little facetious there because I know the answer. But who is they? Your wife, I think, says it best, the haves and have-nots. Ryan Haygood says the non-Masons. I don't know which one of them are Masons or not. They like their peasants mute. Good point, Ruth Pope Johnson. Wes Marriott says they don't speak at meetings to defend their indefensible positions. Well, that's true. I mean, Montgomery all but said that Tuesday afternoon.
It all goes back to the original thing that I started with. You know, all government originates with the people and is founded on their will. Jeff Darby does not acknowledge, David Montgomery does not acknowledge, and obviously Bubba Williams, Jeffrey, and Vince Maggio does not recognize that the right, originates from the people, that government originates, and I got to tell you, Phyllis, I'm glad you put her picture up there. I mean, she went on to, I think she signed on board with this. I mean, I'm thinking that all those individuals here in this meeting, I think that they probably should stop, take a deep breath, and go back and read the freaking Constitution, because
maybe so.
What you're talking about is not a representative form of government. You're talking about something else. And you know what? If after you read the Constitution again and you still believe that your position is correct, that you should just silence people and that they shouldn't be able to have opposition and they shouldn't be able to disagree, I'm wondering what limits you would place on government. Where would be your limits that you would place on government? I mean, if you don't believe that government originates from the people, what exactly do you believe? You need to look in the mirror and have some self-introspection, because I'm going to tell you, you've got a defect. And I'm not going to say it's being a moron. You may be right, Rex, but I'm saying you better have some introspection, because you're on the wrong path. You're freaking definitely on the wrong path.
Look, Phyllis should absolutely be neutral in this, period. That's it. She's the clerk. Basically the secretary.
David Crockett is a retired Air Force colonel. You don't get to be a colonel without being able to, give speeches, mark your time and do that right. And I can tell you, I know, because he's asked me about some things regarding his speeches, and I've gave him my opinion. And he's conscious of their 3-minute mark. He's conscious of that. And to say that he constantly goes over his time, I haven't pulled the videos, but I would be willing to bet money that if we pulled the videos of every time he spoke, I'd be willing to bet he probably never ever went over 3 minutes. And if he did, and the council allowed him to continue to speak, kudos to them. Good job.
That's on the council.
Good job for allowing him to finish. Whether you agreed with it or not, that's irrelevant, but good job for allowing him to finish. I mean, that's a good thing. And I will give the council a compliment on the last meeting. They did let everybody speak and say their will, with the exception of David Montgomery's outburst over Wes Marriott, in which it's a fair accusation to level, because all of y'all don't want to acknowledge it, and because it's too much for you to stomach, and because you got to protect your own. I'm sorry that you find that offensive, but that is what and why and how our government was structured, so that we would have open debate. But you're making a move to silence that. Right. That's not the form of government that we have. In fact, if y'all think it should be any other way, you might ought to load up and go to Russia or go somewhere else, because that they agree with you.
Well, and the colonel right there in the comment says if you gave millions to the city, you get 10 minutes. Look, I would even say it's less than that, Colonel. If you're friends with certain councilmen, uh, you'll get all the time you need. It's that simple. But if you're going to say something that you don't necessarily agree with the council, or the council doesn't agree with you, oh no, they're going to interrupt you and they're going to cut you off. Period.
Well,
especially when it enrages them, because oh my goodness, you're not just a talking head.
Well, let's get back to, so this was a regular council meeting, right, Rex?
Yes. Well, I have to assume it was. I mean, they're discussing council business, basically polling, basically appears, sounds like taking a vote here or setting the agenda.
Well, according to David Montgomery, they've got a 4-2 vote. Jeff Darby has directed the secretary of the council to take action. They've got a 4-2 vote count, according to at-large Councilman Montgomery. Sounds like this was a regular council meeting.
Sounds like it to me. And I think our good friend Wes Marriott has asked for the meeting minutes.
Well, I'm just wondering. I don't know. I'm at a loss here. So if this was a regular council meeting, why did I not, or you, or anybody else, or the colonel, or Marriott, who go and speak frequently, why has nobody gotten the opportunity to speak to this issue?
It's a good question.
Why was it not made public?
I mean, not just that. I mean, they didn't give the required legal notice for this meeting. They didn't do any of that. And again, I'm not trying to prop us up, because we're not the only ones that have said this, but we have said basically from day one or close to it, it's the meetings before and after the meetings. That's where they decide stuff, which is at best borderline illegal and violates open meetings laws. Period.
Well, let's play it again from the beginning, the first part, and then we'll move on to the second part.
All right, here we go. Yeah, let's do that one more time, 1 minute, and then we'll move on to the second part and start wrapping it up.
But Phyllis, I want you to go ahead and do that change in the format. Change out the format of rules for council. We will give comments at the beginning of our agenda versus every time there's a comment. Because that's what they love, that they see that.
That's fine with me.
We want to change that.
Do we vote on that?
Yeah, let's change it.
So Free won't be here, so it's 4-2 enough?
Yeah, I want to change.
That's fine, because this is becoming, it's so disruptive, we become dysfunctional.
Yeah, dysfunctional is a nice word.
It's out of control behavior, and it's acceptable behavior. And these people that come in here, they feed on this stuff.
Well, I mean, and just David Crockett, he constantly goes over his time each time, and nobody.
Sure.
Well, and he says the same thing.
Yeah.
He says the same thing. And yeah, he does. And you know what? You've not listened to a damn thing he said. If you listen to him, you'd be better off for it. But you've not heard any of it. You've closed your mind off to any idea, and that's the purpose of allowing the public to speak. You've closed your mind off, and you don't accept any other reality. You don't listen to anything else.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, I've switched screens back again. So this is the Open Meetings Law FAQ. You can Google this or pull it up. We've posted it before, I think. But anyway, it talks about walking quorums, and I want to read this for those that are listening. It says, according to AG opinion number 4-0004, walking quorums in which members of the body come and go, or in which absent members are contacted during the meeting so as to prevent a physical quorum of the body, are not allowed and violate prohibitions against circumventing the intent of Louisiana's Open Meetings Law. The AG has stated that such walking quorums are unlawful because while no conversation occurred with an actual quorum physically present in a single location, a quorum effectively participates in the discussion of the issue without the public having the benefit of observing the discussion. Polling of a quorum of a public body is not permissible under the Open Meetings Law, as the public should not be deprived of the opportunity to observe the deliberations of a public body in deciding upon a course of actions. That last paragraph, I don't know that it gets any plainer.
Well, yeah, because according to David Montgomery, it's already decided by a vote of 4-2 that they're going to limit the public's right to speech. They're going to violate your civil rights and, limit your right to speech.
Yeah. Wes Marriott says the quote, "free won't be here." Notice he didn't say "free won't be there." Was free the unknown voice? Well, that we don't know. Again, that's just what we received. Now, Ed Burchett does point out that depending on where this was recorded and who was aware of the recording, there could have been a crime committed by the person who made the recording. Fair point, Ed Burchett. And as you well know, Louisiana, does allow recording of a conversation as long as the person is a party to the conversation. It is a, one-party state. So we don't know. Like I said, we had no idea.
David Womack, the audio was sent to Proton Mail. That is correct.
That is correct.
So, but Rex, we've got another part of the recording that was sent to us. This isn't the only part. The fact that one, we know that Councilman Darby, basically is directing changing the rules. Councilman Montgomery has counted the votes already and saying it's 4-2. And there's another part to this conversation.
Yeah, there is. And this one's kind of short and sweet, but, it's interesting nonetheless. So here we go.
Well, all I can say is to all the people of Bossier City, welcome to Shreveport. Yeah, really. Because that's what's going to happen. Thank you, guys. Thanks for taking care of it.
Open mouth, change foot's all I got to say.
Play it again. Play it again, Dano.
All right, here we go.
Well, all I can say is to all the people of Bossier City, welcome to Shreveport. Yeah, really. Because that's what's going to happen. Thank you, guys. Thanks for taking care of it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. I'm going to ask the question. What do all of y'all watching the show, what is he saying that, welcome to Shreveport? What does he say? What does he mean by that?
Yeah, what does that mean?
What does he mean, welcome to Shreveport?
No, look, we're not saying this quote's bad or good or whatever. We're just sharing what he apparently said, and what does he mean by that?
Look, Shreveport's got their problems. What specifically what's the comparison contrast that he's trying to make that welcome to Shreveport? Because that's what's going to happen. And what is he talking about? Is he talking about term limits?
Well,
is that what he's saying? He said, saying that if you bump me out and you bump Bubba Williams and you bump Darby out, who is wanting to limit your constitutional rights, that you're going to make Bossier like Shreveport, where I would contend at the Shreveport council meetings, people are able to go and say what they want to say.
Yeah, for the most part, although I got to say there's been some contention in the Shreveport City Council meetings. We hadn't really covered those. John Settle does a lot. He's constantly on their rear. But we've been accused, like you said, Duke, earlier, we've been accused of dwelling in the negative. Number one, we don't dwell in it. It gets sent to us by the truckload. Number two, nobody wants to see the flower garden or the rose garden. People want to see for lack of a better term, they want to see the train wreck. And I would argue David Montgomery and the majority of the city council in Bossier City are absolutely a train wreck that just is nonstop.
Well, I want to know what he means, welcome to Shreveport. Exactly. I want to know exactly what he means, welcome to Shreveport, because that's what's going to happen. You know, so he's speaking to all the people of Bossier City. He's telling you, he's saying, welcome to Shreveport, because that's what's going to happen. Apparently, only he, you know, and I said this in the show, the last show or the show before, it may have been 2 shows ago, that apparently in Bossier Parish, there's only about 17 people who can run Bossier. There's no one else. You know, I don't know what, I think the population in Bossier City is 60 to 70,000, somewhere in that range.
Somewhere around there.
But who knew that only 8 people in Bossier can run Bossier City? And, you know, he accounts for, at a minimum, 4 of the 8 people's votes. He's 4 of those votes. I mean, you know, I'm just wondering. I mean, who knew? I mean, you're telling me that a city of this size, we've only got him and Darby and Bubba and, you know, Maggio and Free that are articulating for another form of government limiting speech by the citizens, that only they can run the city? They're the only ones competent enough to do it, that nobody else can do it? You're incapable? All the rest of you out there, all of y'all watching the show, unless you're one of these people that we're talking about, all of y'all are incompetent. All of y'all are incapable of doing what this man right here is saying. And he's saying that if any of y'all watching the show were able to be in his shoes, in his position on the council, you're going to turn it into Shreveport. And whatever that means, that's what he's saying. He's saying that you're incapable of doing it.
Yeah, well, that's a very plausible interpretation of it. Like I said, we don't know. There wasn't really any more context, you know, to that. We were sent 2 audio clips.
Oh, and by the way, if you don't agree with that, you can call him, and I'm sure he'll argue, or he'll yell at you for free.
Yeah,
and
if he takes the call.
Yeah, if he takes the call, he'll yell at you. He won't charge you for that.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Lowry.
Play it again one more time for everybody.
Play it again, Sam.
Well, all I can say is to all the people of Bossier City, welcome to Shreveport.
Yeah, really.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for taking care of it.
I don't know. What did you mean by that, David?
What's
the context of that, David?
It sounds like he's got something against Shreveport.
I mean, he said it. There's no doubt he's trying to throw some shade on Shreveport. And look, we do it too. But we're amateur journalists and pundits. He's a sitting city councilman that apparently we can't, you know, pry off the city council like a tick on a dog.
I'm not a elected at-large city councilman representing the whole city of Bossier saying welcome to Shreveport, because that's what's going to happen. I mean, I think it deserves an answer as to what specifically he's talking about and what he's meaning. Is he meaning that they won't have enough money to do the business deals that will end up making him money, like through the port, that would, you know, he could write insurance on? Is that what he's talking about? Or something of that nature? I don't know. I mean, what does he mean? I'm trying to figure this out.
I don't know, but D.D. White Clark says the only ratchet behavior I keep seeing is coming from the Bossier City Council. I was waiting for somebody to mention the word ratchet, as in Ratchet City, but I don't know. So there you go, folks. Now we will release the video clips as a standalone video clip and put them out on Bossier Watch. You're more than welcome to share them out. I'm sure this is, I don't know, you know, they may not care. They honestly may not care.
Oh, I don't think they care at all. I absolutely don't care. I'll tell you the most saddened I am by this. It's not the fact. It's no surprise to me that they have walking quorums. I mean, we've known that. Right. That's no big surprise at all. I think probably the most discouraging thing is, to me, I'm going to say it, Phyllis. That one bothers me the most. You know, I would have hoped that somebody among that group would have respected or thought highly enough of the citizens of Bossier and, you know, their right to be able to speak on issues, and would have said, you know, I don't know that that's such a good idea on trying to limit the public. I don't think it is. You know, I could have saw that coming from her, but for her to throw in with the King and Darby, and then, you know, Darby, that's disappointing. The only minority on the council that is the one leading the charge on limiting people's speech. It's a sad day in Bossier City. It is a sad day.
Maybe we need to give Phyllis the benefit of the doubt. Maybe, just maybe, she is so tired of hearing the rage and wrath of David Montgomery that she'll say anything to shut him up. Maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it. But throwing in with him, I mean, good grief. I mean,
the comments are going nuts. This is great.
As you said, you know, the Sylvester Stallone movie, Rocky. Ding. We're not going away. We're not going nowhere.
Ding.
the next round's just started.
It has. All right. That's enough for tonight. We've got 95, over 100 people, if you count Twitter and everything else, watching on a Thursday night. This was, you know, we scheduled at the last minute. We appreciate everybody watching. Look, it's up to y'all to decide what, you know, what the meaning of those videos or audio is. It's up to y'all to show up at the council meetings and let your voices be heard. Call your city councilman, email your city councilman, do all those things. That's the only way that we can fight. And look, it took decades for them to screw this up and get the city council in the dysfunctional, to quote Montgomery, shape that it's in. We're not going to be able to fix it overnight.
That's right, Rex. Thank you all for watching, and like Rex said, share it as you will. I'm sure you're going to hear about it in the media.
Well, we shall see. All right, Mr. Lowry, we will be back next Tuesday night, which will be the 12th, with Adam Bass and Robert Mills, and I think we're going to have a little debate.
Play it one more time, the first one and the second one, and then close the show.
That sounds like a good idea. Here we go.
But Phyllis, I want you to go ahead and do that change in the format. Change out the format of rules for council. We will give comments at the beginning of our agenda versus every time there's a comment. Because that's what they love, that they see that.
That's fine with me.
We want to change that.
Do we vote on that?
Yeah, let's change it.
So Free won't be here, so it's 4-2 enough?
Yeah, I want to change.
That's fine, because this is becoming, it's so disruptive, we become dysfunctional.
Yeah, it looks bad every time because it's out of control behavior and it's acceptable behavior. And these people that come in here, they feed on this stuff.
Well, I mean, and just David Crockett, he constantly goes over his time each time, and nobody.
Sure.
Well, and he says the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe well, all I can say is to all the people of Bossier City, welcome to Shreveport.
Yeah,
because that's what's going to happen.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for taking care of it.
We're out of here.
Good night.